Hello! Now this project was my last one I had planned for Unity. I actually started this project to test out how the process was to release on Steam, and how the API worked, and implementing achievements, and oh boy, it's always the smallest projects that end up being the most obtuse sometimes. So it took almost a month to try to get it done. The whole debacle with Unity and blah blah blah, we've all heard about it so far, but it kind of slowed the middle progress. But eventually I wrapped it up this weekend. It's now in review, so in a couple days I'll see if that gets approved, and then in a couple weeks they'll let me release it. And I just put it on Steam for $1, actually like a 10% off $1 or whatever their initial release sale is. It'll be like 80 cents or whatever that is, or 90 cents, I think it's 10%. So, but I have keys. Anybody wants a key when it does release, I can just send them a key. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, I used it just as an experiment because I wanted to see how hard it was to do. But I'll be switching over to Godot here to make a Vampire Survivors clone for a community I'm part of, and that'll be fun. Get more 2D experience with Godot. Now what do we have here? Right now I'm working on menus and really just the transitions between carrying over constant variables here. I had some issues keeping the timer right, and the meters climbed, and having them reset properly when somebody restarts the level. So I wanted to track objects spawned and removed and used to climb, because the basis of this game would be you shoot out an object and it populates or spawns onto a layer, the ground layer, and you can use that to climb up a tower. That's really all it is. Little Dragon Ball Z inspiration with the Corrin's Tower there. So, but I ended up with a spooky theme. It is October, so just used a bunch of the Polygon Cinti assets. There's also a way to use all those things before I start transitioning all those to Godot. So I'm gonna play with that engine for a while. Even with the Unity coming out with explaining their terms a little more clearly, the engine I'm using now is not applicable to the runtime fees. It's going to be the next LTS version for 2023. I'm just using the 2021 version, which is fine for anything I'd need. So going forward, I might even just continue to use the 2021 or 2022 versions. As being small and just wanting to make games as a hobby, you don't really need to have all the bells and whistles. It's unnecessary. You want to chase the features you're never going to use. Too much FOMO. Oh man, on this part here, I tried to expand out my visible dome area. That was a mistake. Cleared my FPS. My computer did not like it. So I ended up actually going back to the simple one dome thing. But I did stray away from the small dome and went with a universal kind of space theme. Thought it was kind of cool. At least gives the player something better to look at as they go on. Especially the higher you climb, it's fun to look out in the space. Right now it's just the fog. Here's designing the spooky level. I like the upside down trees and the kind of for Stranger Things vibe, obviously. The red and the upside down stuff. Here's me trying to make it bigger, but it's unnecessary. The player's never going to go that far out there. The goal is to climb the tower, not traverse the trees. So in the end, I decided against it, but spent a lot of time figuring that out, as you do with making games. Distractions are inevitable, but you learn a lot from them eventually. And the more distractions that sidetrack you, the less you'll get done, but the more you'll learn, to be honest. So now I did get to play with a lot of new assets that I hadn't touched before, and I learned how to import those all into Godot when I was doing this as well. So the 3D assets for Cinti and Polygon or anything you got from the Unity 3D store, you can export into FBX and then the GLHTF file, whatever it's called, and then you can put that into Godot pretty easily. There are a couple mods you can put onto Godot to make that process easier, like a package manager style thing. But in the end, sometimes being limited is better, obviously, as I try to expand out and end up just wasting my time and going back to how I had it originally. So it's a lot more level testing here. I think I spent a lot of time just trying to get the feel of it. At least slightly entertaining to play. Pretty simple concept. Just spawn items and climb. Don't fall. I had health here originally, but I ended up getting rid of the health altogether. And then the only way you can actually lose is by falling completely down. But in the end, I actually added a kind of Majora's Mask thing, where the moon slowly coming towards the tower. Ended up being about settled on 30 minutes. I didn't want it too rushed. So you have about 30 minutes to climb the tower, or the moon collides with the tower and you die. Everybody dies. Well, you're the only one in this outpost type thing. And on the spooky level, I used spiders. Everybody's scared of spiders, right? So spiders on the moon, you don't think scarier than spiders are really big spiders. So here's some collision messing around with. Man, I could go through and edit all these collisions and make them pretty and perfect, but that would take way too long, and I don't have time for any of that. So there are some collision issues and funny colliders where they go from one edge to the other, so it's like you're walking on air, but that's fine. Finished, not perfect. That's kind of how we roll. So try to make it perfect, you'll just never be done. I am so tired of not finishing anything, because ultimately it's never going to be finished, but just get it out. Let people judge it, play it. Don't worry about it. We waste so much time just worrying about making things perfect, at least I do, that we end up just not doing anything at all. It's kind of a paralysis thing, so... Here it's really just editing. If things get too far from a player, I wanted to despawn them. And then I wanted to track the height. So funny, so meters, one +1 in the y-axis is 1 meter for Unity. So that's how I track that. Just track how many Ys they've climbed, and that's your meters. So I went with just your highest. So I tracked the highest meter and the best time. I didn't do any saving. Could have added a save or a player prefs kind of thing, but I decided not to worry about it. I didn't think it was too big of a deal. If you really want to track it, you'll remember it, or you won't. Maybe in the future, if anybody wants me to add that for this little thing, I mean, I could. Easy enough, but honestly, I just didn't feel like doing it, so I did. See if anybody wants to, but I doubt it. I want to move on to the next project. So that's going to be the Vampire Survivors clone here that I've been toying with for a few months. Kind of took a break the last month or two with all the new releases. Starfield, Baldur's Gate, and oh my goodness. Riches of games this year has been insane. So it's just some more meter tracking. We got timer issues. This is probably where I started having issues with scene tracking and resetting previous climb times and meter climbs. Well, the problem was it would reset, but then it wouldn't start tracking the player again. Some more testing just to see how long it took to climb the towers. Ended up being between 20-30 minutes. There's the spider moon coming down. Ah! Yeah, when you win, you can see all the stuff it took to spawn to climb, and it's all experiment. Hopefully, some people find a jump in along the way.